What's going on, everyone? Steven here. Today I'm back with episode 2 of my WebHackery series. Today I'm going to be showing you how to defeat content roadblocks. So you've seen these before. You've probably gone to read an article from a site and you get a big window or something that pops up in your way and says create a login to continue reading or something like that. So we're going to be looking at a couple of implementations of that, and we're going to try to defeat them. So as you'll see, this can be super easy to do, and then towards the second half of the video we'll get into a more advanced implementation, which it's not like super advanced if you know what you're doing. So anyway, we'll get into all that when we get there. So first off, I'm in Chrome here. I've got the New York Times up. I'm not making any political statements with this video, by the way. I know some sites that this stuff is on, so that's what we're going to use. Okay, first things first. I'm going to hit F12. If you're on a Mac, function F12 will bring up DevTools. And you may see DevTools at the bottom. You may see it somewhere else. You can click on this hamburger menu over here and then dock it to wherever you want. You can even pop it out if you don't want to have it in the same window here. So I'm actually going to try to zoom in a little bit, at least on this page. I don't think I can. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to zoom in DevTools slightly as well, so hopefully you can see it a little better if you're on mobile. Okay, so what I also like to do is open the console drawer. So you can click on the hamburger menu again and click Show Console Drawer. And now we have the console down here, which, it just gives you all the stuff in these panels as well as the console if you have the screen real estate for it. If you click on the console tab, you'll notice that the drawer with the console will sink down if you're on that tab. So if you're trying to bring this up and you're like, what's going on? You're probably on the console tab. Anyway, all right, so now that we're here, the first thing that we want to do is try to read an article. So I'm going to click on this article. Okay, I'm here. I can read it. I'm scrolling down. Oh, look at this. Inundated with stuff. I can't read the article. All right, so what do we do? The first thing that we can try to do, okay, this is just super low-hanging fruit, and it can tell you a lot about the site. We're going to go to Network. All right, I'm going to drag this out slightly. Oh, not Network, Sources. That's the tab I want. So we'll bring this out. What I want is the debugger stuff over here. All right, this is our web debugger. The first thing that you can do is refresh the page, and when it looks like the article, has loaded, so you're scrolling down, just hit pause. I clicked pause there, and now I can scroll down and I can read this article. So that's one way to do it. We're already done. Cool. All right. Don't forget to subscribe. Appreciate you. Anyway. So now that we've got that, what we want to do is not have this overlay, right? So what we could try to do now is block the requests for any JavaScript files. All right, there's something called request blocking that we can easily implement. All right, so if you have your console drawer up, you can click the hamburger menu down here, click on request blocking, and I already have it here, but you probably don't have anything. I'm going to click remove. So now what you can do is click add, and you could put in star.html, .css. We're going to do star.js for JavaScript files. If you wanted to block a particular JavaScript file, you could put the name of that file here, and it would only block that one file. So maybe there's ads.js that you wanted to block or something. You could enable that here. Now this request blocking is only going to work as long as you have DevTools open. So if you close DevTools, this stuff won't be enabled. All right. So I'm just going to star.js here, and let's see. All right, sorry, my phone buzzed over here. I had to see what that was. We're going to click add, and enable request blocking is checked now. You can uncheck that, and anything that you've added here will not be blocked. You could add multiple things in here, enable request blocking, and disable specific ones, and only have it block individual files. So request blocking in Chrome, very, very handy. All right, so we're going to enable that. I'm just going to click refresh here. I'm going to stop, refresh. And what happens if we just request block all JavaScript files? Look at this. Perfect. We have the page loaded here just fine. And yeah, so anyway. All right, there's a race going on outside, it sounds like. I don't know if you could hear that. I live by a highway, so sorry if you hear some zooming around. Anyway, all right, so now we have this. We could just try browsing the site and seeing if this request blocking breaks a bunch of stuff. So far, it looks like it just breaks advertisements and perhaps certain things like this editor's pics, whatever picture or whatever should be here, that's not loading. Whatever, we can still see the names of the articles. Let's click on this article. We can look around. That is just fine. All right, so that's a quick and easy way to, do away with those type of implementations. And we're not even, this isn't even like hacking. You know what I mean? We haven't done anything special here. We've just blocked requests for certain files. Okay, so what if we go to, let's go Google and then Washington Post. Okay, I'm going to disable this. I'm going to click on, let's go regional. And then once this loads up here, let's click this. Scroll down, see what happens. Everything looks good. Sometimes you have to try to read, a certain amount of articles before it'll start blocking you. All right, now we've got that banner up here saying thanks for reading. If we go back again, let's try a different article. All right, we're trying to read through the site. Got a big ad up there. Everything still looks good. Go back. Try one more article. There we go. Okay, subscribe and save. So 4 articles, it appears, was the limit here. Now we could go in and try to find, which elements are being blocked here. Translucent BG. What if we just remove that class? What happens? Nothing. CAPTCHA, content, whatever. Anyway, the stuff I did in the last episode of WebHackery, you can go watch that because I show you how to dig in and re-enable scrolling with CSS and all that kind of stuff. It looks like they might be doing some of that here. But what if we just enable our request blocking of star.js, and let's refresh this page and see what happens. Oh, took us back to the home page. Let's click this again. All right, let's scroll. All right, it looks like images are busted and the video here, but if we want to read the content, there it is. Let's go back. Let's just click on this article. Okay, that image is working. And we can read the articles. So look at that. Just request blocking star.js. Perfect. It doesn't block all JavaScript, so if you have these like inline scripts in the HTML, a lot of that stuff will still run. At least, I'm pretty sure this should just be blocking specific JavaScript files and not looking at JavaScript in the HTML. But anyway, so presumably stuff could still run and we're not blocking all JavaScript. But okay, so now that we've done that, I want to show you a site that actually does what my critique of these sites is that they should do, which is if you want the user to be authenticated before they can read the content, then don't serve all the content. Like serve up a paragraph or two and let that be it. So let's go to Google and we're going to look up Vanity Fair. Let's go to Vanity Fair. Let's try to read an article. I'm going to disable that request blocking. All right, what's Hollywood's obsession with ping pong? Labor Day sale, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about that. All right, I'm going to go back. Let's try another article. No thanks. Get out my face. Let's try this again. Okay, here we are. everything works fine. And a lot of times you'll see that, you can read X amount of the article while it's loading all of these bajillion ads and images and all the other crap that it's loading. To that extent, what if you could come on a page, scroll down super fast, and if you have video recording software, you could just record the screen and go back and read it. I know that's dumb, but hey, if that's all you had, it would be a solution, right? Okay, so I'm just trying to get to the point that it's going to say you can't read anymore. All right, did you see down there in the bar it said one article left? If I close this, okay, one article left. Let's try to find another article. I don't want sponsored stories. Let's try this one. Scroll down, 0 articles left. Let's go back and we'll click one more. Okay. Alright, so look what they're doing here. We get a picture, we get the header and all that, but here we see what looks like it might be some of the article and then a blur that's applied to it. What if we hover over this? Okay, has drop cap. I'm reading class names and stuff like that. Article blurred. What if we get rid of that class, article blurred? Okay, that unblurs that. And now if we actually try to see if the additional content is here in this article, it's not. So these two paragraphs, if we drilled down, I've already gone through and done the research, we would see these two paragraphs are the only things being served up. All right. So what happens if we enable request blocking? And then let's refresh this page. Okay, the little ad stuff, everything that was loading around the page is gone. Awesome. But still can't see the article. So what do? This is where we can study network requests and see what's being sent to the server. Okay, and what we can do is just refresh the page here. All right, and I've got all selected. Refresh. We'll scroll to the top. This document here, pretty much the first thing that you'll see a GET request happen on is the document. Right, so it wants to get the document. We can click on this. We can look at a preview of what comes back. Okay, so we see the picture here. This is basically our HTML without any of the styling applied to it. So none of the CSS, no JavaScript. So that's why it looks all busted. But also in this preview window, if they were to have served up the full content, we would see it here. This would be another place you could view it, right? So we can look at the response here just to see what the document looks like. Anyway, so let's go headers. And we can see, look, status code 402, payment required. All right, so they want a payment. Well, what we can do is right-click on this and then choose Copy as Fetch. When we copy as Fetch, this will give us the fetch request with the headers and everything that gets sent to the server. I'm going to click on console here. I'm going to clear the console. So what we can do is paste here. And so here's the URL that's being fetched. Okay. And now we can look at different headers. So we see credentials include. Okay. And well, here we have these headers. You can read through all these and see what they do. But if we look up credentials, Google, header, fetch, request, credentials. Okay, using fetch. Open this, Control F, include, credentials include. To cause browsers to send a request with credentials included. Add include. Okay, so we have credentials include, credentials same origin, credentials omit. That doesn't really tell us much about credentials. Is there somewhere else that we can perhaps see what credentials does? Credentials include. Alright, so this is where you can look around and look at this request dot credentials. Let's see what this says about it. Include. Alright, credentials are cookies, authorization headers, or TLS client certificates. So, because cookies tend to be something that a lot of sites look for to determine if you have been to that site or not, that's one thing that can be sent through this like request, credentials, right? So to test this, what happens if we click on the application tab and here on this clear storage, click clear site data. Okay, and once you do that, we can click on refresh and let's see what we get. Alright, look at that. I still have request blocking on, so all the crap around this article, that's not loading, and we have our article here. Cool, so it looks like the request blocking thing will work as long as we actually have, enough, I guess, credits to read articles. So if we come back and we click through a bunch of different articles, let's go back, click on that, scroll down, let's go back. I'm basically trying to hopefully hit the point again that we'll see blurred paragraphs. So now if I go back and click this one, look at that. Okay, so it looks like we have identified the tracking that's happening perhaps through cookies, because once we cleared the storage, cleared everything out, there could be stuff going on in local storage, whatever, session storage, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, as a quick test, what we can do is see what happens if we modify this header to not include credentials. Remember, we saw omit was one. So if we send this, if we hit enter right now with this fetch, okay, let's go network, and here we have this get. The get's okay. Well, we'll actually need to like parse the result. So let's see here. Alright, so it looks like we've got that full article. If we do it again, that is that request, right? Yep. Okay, so we're getting that article. It may see that we've already accessed that article, so that's why it's giving it to us. So what we can do is right click on this James Comey, the one that we're loaded on, copy as fetch. I'm going to clear that. I'm going to paste it, hit it. Let's look here. Okay. Boom. Headers, 402 payment required. Okay, so it looks like Vanity Fair will let us continue reading articles that we've already opened. And now here's this one with this 402 payment required. Well, now what happens if we put omit in the credentials here? We fire that off. We click this one. 200 OK. That's interesting. So that presumably means we can send the request to the server to get an article despite not being authenticated. All right, so now what do we do? Like, how do we get that on the page? Well, first off, this is enough for, if you wanted to scrape some of these sites that have this kind of, quote unquote protection. Now you know what you need to do to get the content. So once we have our content, I'm going to click and drag some stuff in here that I've already worked out, and I will explain what this stuff is doing. Okay, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. Alright, so what happens is this fetch happens, and then you have what's called a promise, which is once a request is fulfilled, then you can do something with the result, essentially. Alright, so once this fetch happens, then we take the response, alright, and then we get the text, right? So you can, there's JSON, text, a couple of different things that you can do here. So we'll parse that. Then Then we'll take that text, and with it, we're going to use DOM parser. All right, so DOM parser. This is a fun web API that parses your text as the document. So what that allows you to do is that immediately allows you to access methods and targeting as if you're trying to do it on the page in the DOM instead of trying to sort through text using text methods and finding the index of this character and blah blah blah. Yeah. So anyway, what we're doing here is we're parsing new document. Let's see. Then I'm assigning to HTML document the results of that, and then article. Let me hit enter here and let's see what happens. Alright, so what I've done is I looked through and I targeted the article section. So if we go back, and I'm going to click that again, alright, and we inspect over here, we see here, right, the article. So this particular element, I wanted to find that element out of the request. Like once I got the response, I used DOM parser to parse that, and then I could use a query selector to find article. And then I basically take that out and then I dump it onto the page. So that's what this whole thing is doing here. You wouldn't have to look for article. You could just dump out the entire HTML document if you wanted, and yeah, that's what you could do. So again, in terms of scraping, this is something where, you know, you could use DOM parser. We could get any article we wanted off Vanity Fair, and, you know, not even take the whole article. We could just take all the text from it if we wanted and make our own client to read stuff, whatever. Anyway, so there you go. We have effectively done away with content roadblock implementations. And these are ones on pretty big sites. So, you know, you'll be hard pressed to find other sites that have crazier implementations, you know, short of someone not serving all the content and requiring authentication. So trying to modify what we did here with this credentials, you know, that might not work. And so you might have to dig in a little bit more and play around with the headers. But there you go. There's a fun little solution. So anyway, don't forget to check out episode 1 if you haven't yet, because take another deep dive there and it's a lot of fun. So thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, share this video around if you found it useful. I would appreciate it. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Take care.